Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD. Today is a monumentous occasion. Up until now we had two trains, or two services that ran from City St. Mark out to the southeast, both of which terminated at Drentborn Rotea. I believe it's pronounced Rotea, it might be Rotea. Anyone who's Italian, if they could let me know, that would be much appreciated. But yeah, those two services ran between those two places, both stopping at Tarnway and Funston and Waterside Airport along the way. One stopped more regularly at places like Munton and whatever station that was that I just passed there. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But until now, that has been the case. One is run slightly faster than the other, and they ran at half-hour intervals, alternating. So basically once an hour, but because they alternate, it's once every half hour. You get the point. You know, one's a more stoppy service, the other one's a more zippy service between the two places. Now, however, the more zippy of the two is being extended, so it no longer stops at any of the stations it previously stopped at. It still has to slow down for Tarnway and Funston, and it still has to slow down for Drentborn because of the way the two stations are designed, but it will not stop there, and it will effectively run non-stop between Guard City and Bahecity. So besides the high speed, this is the first official link, conventional rail link between the two capital cities. So it's a very monumentous and very exciting moment. And I'm very, very happy with the outcome. I've watched the train run on its journey a few times now, and I'm very, very pleased. It's very satisfying. It's also quite quick. I was expecting to have to like double the train count when I increased this service, but I think it's gone from 4 to 5. It might have even stayed as it was. I think it might have stayed at 4, thinking about it, because it's quite quick. It goes between the two places quite quickly. You'll also notice Bahecity there, looking as it's always done. Don't get used to that, because in a couple of episodes time it will look different. But the video of me rebuilding Bahecity is going to be the first Patreon only video. So if you want to see that, you have to be a patron on Patreon. It is entirely optional, of course. You do not have to support me on Patreon if you don't wish to. If you don't, why did I say it like that? You don't have to support me on Patreon if you don't wish to. However, if you are interested in watching that video and you've got a little bit of spare change in your back pocket, then any tier on Patreon will give you that reward. So $1, $25, whatever it might be, it's entirely up to you. And it has to be, in fact, I was about to say it has to be for 3 months, but it really doesn't have to be, because that would defeat the point. So you could just pay $1 to watch the video if you really wanted to. Some people probably will do that, to be honest, but there we go. And yeah, it's a complete rebuild of Bahecity from the ground up, and the result, I mean, you will see the result in a couple of episodes time, like I said, but between now and then that Patreon only video will be going up, so do check it out if you so wish. But back to this, because we have the new Bahecity station, we can now get on with the Bahecity commuter belt services north and south, because eventually, I think in 4 episodes time, I'm going to be rebuilding the south connection down towards Plenborough from Bahecity Central, because it's Bahecity Central that's been rebuilt. I don't know if I said that, I think I did. But yeah, this line also comes in from technically the southwest. It goes through Bahecity Senningbury, which itself got a little bit of a rejig. In this episode, in fact, I rebuild some of the bridges and junctions and the approaches there, but it's the Bahecity build where I really go in and change quite a lot, in fact. And yeah, it's so much better now. It wasn't bad to begin with, but the number of platforms was quite low, whereas now I think I've increased it to, I'm counting off the top of my head, 2, 4, 6, 8, 4 in the middle, and then same again. So 20 platforms now, whereas I believe currently in this video at least it was 8. So we've increased it by quite a lot, and I'm very, very happy with that. I'm always happy when I rebuild a station and it works and looks nice. I've also done some work with the signals as well, because again, at this point in the video the signals haven't been redone, whereas now they have. Plus the approaches, and I'm also preparing, you know, that's like the little third rail connection to the north of Bahecity Central that's currently severed. I'm kind of prepping to add that in as well, because that's technically going to be part of the Bahecity Connect franchise, even though it's only going to be little short hoppers going down those lines. But yeah, it's allowed me to build or start the planning and the infrastructure and the service schedules for the Bahecity Connect North services. There is going to be one to the south, which you will see me add next episode, I believe it is, and that will run down to Drentborn, and then there'll be another one in another couple of episodes time that will continue up to Denston, and one that goes down to Tuningly Estelle, which is technically on the southeastern main line. Is it southeastern? I think it's the south. Oh no, the southeastern goes to Denston, thinking about it, and then on to Drentborn that way. I can't remember what the ones. It might be just the Guard City Southeastern, because where it splits at Hartberg, I think it's one of those branches. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting all these trains running. You'll see me build a new depot. I think that's next episode as well, in fact, to the south of Bahecity for third rail electrified trains. And then we've got the overhead electrified ones that are coming out of the north, which you will see very, very shortly in this episode. This is me just extending that service again still. I actually thought I'd goofed at this point, because I did all these order swaps, and then I realised, what if there was a train on the slow lines? It wouldn't be able to continue, basically. You'd get stuck at the signals. But I did a quick check, and they were all where they should have been, you know, on the fast lines, not affected by the order changes at all. So I had to let it cycle through a couple of times just to reset the timetables and everything. But yeah, it's all in all, it's worked out quite well. This is the southern approach to Bahecity Central that you're seeing me build here. Basically, the way this works, there's 6 tracks on the north and there's 6 tracks on the south. Each one's been split up into 2 pairs of 3. So the centermost track, actually, it's technically reverse running, because imagine that. Okay, so imagine the westernmost 3 here that you can see on the screen. The westernmost one there is north only, and the easternmost one, so the one center left, that's south running only. And that's just to ensure that when trains run straight through, so for example, if they're running from, I can't remember the name, I think it's Hanum to the north, Bahecity Hanum, and they run through Bahecity Central and then they go to Bahecity Senningbury, they will stay on the right side of the tracks and they won't have to cross over the junctions and potentially block other trains. Same thing on the east side of the site, if they're coming from the city to, or the town from the south, and again, I can't quite read the name, you guys will be able to, but I can't right now. They will stay on the east side of the station, and again, there's no conflicting movements. It also allowed me the chance to rebuild this approach bit here. As you can see, I've made it a little bit nicer, a little bit neater, and I'm just going through and redoing the electrification as well, so trains don't get stuck. Because that's something I found out when I reset the trains out of GSMA. There was one little section of track that hadn't been electrified properly, and it messed everything up. So now I double check, I make sure everything is electrified as it should be before I release any trains onto the line. That was one of the drawbacks to changing the tracks to BR tracks, was it reset some of them, and I probably should have spent more time doing it, to be fair, but I didn't go around and check which ones had been changed and which ones hadn't, and that did present a couple of problems, shall we say, just a problem here or there. I'm adding an extra bridge here as well. I'm much more conscious about my junction designs now. I try and make sure that they are as smoothly operating as possible. Because the last thing you want is something clogging up your network, and it's something really stupid like you didn't add an extra crossover in where you should have, or you had one too many crossovers, or a signal was in the wrong place, or the line wasn't electrified properly. I'm really, really conscious about that kind of thing now. There's that diamond junction I was talking about. There will be connections in all 4 directions, as well as some bridges that span across the top of the main line there. But yes, this is the start of the first service. So this runs between Bahecity Central and Fort Bredborough Airport. It is an all-stopping service. There are 3 services. At the time of me recording this voiceover, there are 3 services operating to the north, 2 of which terminate at Fort Bredborough and 1 continues a little bit further. Each one gets progressively faster, I suppose you can call it, in that they call it less stations along the route. The 2 Fort Bredborough services, they're just like the 2 old Drentborn services I was talking about. One goes slightly faster and the other stops at less stations, and they are offset with each other by half an hour. So technically each individual service runs every hour, but because of the way the timetable and the schedule is set up in this game, it's effectively a half-hourly service between the 2 places. And I'm going to be doing that a lot more often. You'll see me group them under the same service, so it is the Bahecity Central to Fort Bredborough Celestial Airport service, but there's like a semi-fast and a fast, essentially, or a semi-fast and a slow, or stopping and slightly less stopping, whatever the technical term for that would be. And I do like these things because it's very lifelike. If you If you ever get the chance to look at a map of the West Coast main line, Virgin Trains used to have a really good one. I think Avanti will have copied it as well. And it shows all the stations that all the trains call at. And if you actually look at it, there's a train that goes from, say, London to Birmingham New Street, and it might stop at Milton Keynes Central. And then there's another one that does the same journey, and it also stops at Wolverhampton or Birmingham International. That kind of, actually Wolverhampton's north of Birmingham, but you know what I mean. It has a more frequent stopping pattern. And they will run, you know, what's the word? I used it last episode as well, and I recorded last episode just before I recorded this episode. But yeah, they run offset to each other, so they're technically a half-hourly service, even though that exact service runs every hour. I really hope that makes sense, because I'm butchering the explanation. But yeah, here's this train. It runs in and out of Bahecity. This is the only one you'll see me place today, I believe, because I wanted to rebuild Bahecity before I continued with the rest. And in fact, I don't even dispatch this train at the end of this episode, because I wanted to make sure that Bahecity Central was all set up and raring to go. I think I renamed one of these stations as well, because one of the waypoints had a wrong name, and I think the station itself had a valley at the end of the name, so I took that out. And besides that, it's all very nice and very lovely. I was debating whether to have the empty coaching stock move through the easternmost platforms here at Winnington Tranquility, or whether I should make them run through slightly further west so that they go out onto the main line sooner. I think the general consensus I've come to is faster trains like HSTs or in the future Class 800s, they will use the faster route out onto the main line. In fact, the faster trains like the HSTs will probably use the fast lines south of Winnington, whereas the slower trains like the suburban trains, the commuter trains, all that kind of thing, they'll go through the terminating platforms and round that way, because it will just keep them out of the way of the faster trains. So one of the things here as well is this line, even the semi-fast services have to use the slow tracks, because the fast tracks, you can see they're upgraded specifically for high-speed use. The speed limit is 140 miles an hour on this section for the fast lines, so it's really to make sure that the high-speed trains running between the two cities, two capitals, run uninterrupted. So it might mean clogging up the slow lines a little bit. I'm going to try and avoid using freight trains on this line unless they're faster than the normal freight trains, just to keep the line for passenger use only, really. And not really make the same mistake that the West Coast main line has fallen into, which is it's the most heavily used line in the country because it's so densely packed with passenger and freight trains. If you took out all the freight trains, you basically release half the paths. Now this bit here, I went into old M4J mode, which is I put waypoints down to separate the slow from the really slow from the slow from the fast. And then I thought, why do I have to do that? I can just put down some signals and set up programming. So I did that instead. And that saved me a couple of orders, even though I really wasn't running short of orders at this point. But I find it kind of interesting that I slipped back into old mode and didn't really notice. It's something I'd normally pick up on, but it was only after I'd set the train, set all its orders, and I kind of went back and looked at it and thought, hang on a minute, what have I done here? And then went back and fixed it. Because, even here I'm resetting signals to make sure that the waypoint is the next order. And I had to go and undo all of that as well. This is the point here, look. I put these signals down and think, hang on a second, why have I done that? I can just make it go to the waypoints proper. And then here I remove them, and then in a second I think I'll remove the waypoints as well. But yeah, this is just the beginning. This is the beginning of the Bahecity commuter services. I don't know whether it's going to be split into a north and a south, or whether it's just going to be one big franchise. It really depends on who claims it, in all honesty. Because now I've come up with the new franchise system for all 4 modes of transport. Franchises are going to be awarded based on size and based on donation size or pledge size. So if you pledge a small amount, you'll get a smaller franchise or a smaller area to work in, whether it's road, air or sea. And if you unlock the higher tiers, then you'll get a bigger area or a bigger franchise that you can work in. And it's not officially mapped out. There's not like a grid system where you claim a grid and that's yours kind of thing. It's really going to be based on hub areas. So franchises for rail, there will always be at least one hub station in your franchise. So for example, the Great Western franchise is currently claimed. That hub station well, it has 3 main hub stations, then it has some subsidiary ones. So GSP, Guard City Great Winfield Airport, and Woolworth Central. They're the 3 main hubs. But then you've also got Plindon Junction. You will in the future have Mumfingford Paragon, and you also technically you have Morningpool Falls, but that's more of a hub on the western reaches north. It just happens to be served by Great Western trains as well. And some franchises will share hub stations, so you'll have your independent ones, like Great Winfield is not independent because it has the Guard City Connect services run through it as well as some cross-region, cross-country trains in the future. But GSP is pretty much a unique hub station. Yes, it's also served by the Guard City Overground and Underground, but predominantly it is a Great Western station. And Woolworth Central, actually no, Woolworth isn't either because it's got cross-region that goes through it. So it's just GSP. But yeah, you will have one station that is exclusively yours. It's still owned and operated by M4J Transport, or M4J Rail in this case, but it's your main station. You can design your services around that station. And then you'll have the other ones where you can run some services to. It's kind of like branches on a tree, basically. You've got your trunk in the middle and your trunk route, and then you can branch out to lots of different places. You can either build separate branch lines or that kind of thing. It's all a bit complicated to explain right here, but I will make a video on it in the future, I feel, because I think it is a little bit confusing, and some people might be put off by the fact it's a little bit confusing. So I explain it a lot better on my website. Check out m4jmedia.com. Go to current series along the top, or on the menu bar on the top right corner if you are on mobile. Then go on to M4J Network and scroll down to the Patreon. I think it's just called franchises, and it has all the franchises that are currently claimed. Lots of detail about them as well, which I was really happy with. I think it makes it all look a lot more professional and a lot more efficient. And then also details on how to become a franchise holder as well. It's all there. It is all there. If you want to check it out, even if you just want to read something to help you get off to sleep, whatever it might be, feel free to check it out. And as I said, it's entirely optional. I know some people do demand patrons and they do demand donations. I try not to be that person. Obviously I'd like it, I'd very much appreciate it, but besides the patron only videos, I'm not going to do anything really to force people to be a patron. It is entirely optional. There's plenty of other ways you can support the channel other than financially, and a lot of people do actually do that, so I am very, very grateful for that. Right, we've got what, 5 minutes left, so what am I going to do to fill 5 minutes? Well, talk a little bit more about what's going to happen over the next couple of episodes. So this episode you can see me placing down this first service. The second episode, episode 53, this is episode 52, isn't it? Yeah, so episode 53 you'll see me place down 2 more services, which are the ones I described earlier on, and then the episode after that, in terms of the chronological order in which I recorded, the next episode after that will be the rebuild of Bahecity Central. In fact, that might have come before. No, I think that came next after this one, in fact. Then you'll see me place the 2 trains down. Then you will see me build or add the Denston and Tuningly route, as well as extending down to the south slightly, because if I can rebuild that route in time, then I'll extend down towards Pembroke. I won't go all the way to Pembroke. I think that's for a future service, but I'll start extending down that way. I think there's a station on the coast somewhere that I can terminate a couple of trains at. But if you check out the service schedule sheet, you'll see me add more services to that as the time goes by. And eventually we'll work our way up to Wenningport in the north and Pembroke and Pruntford to the south. Although again, there'll be very limited semi-fast services that go to those stations because it's a little bit far out to be considered commuter. I want to try and keep commuter things a bit more realistic here. Commuter services, I want to try and keep those a bit more realistic here and not have them go hundreds and hundreds of miles, because that's a little bit unrealistic. I think the longest commuter train in the UK that I've been on certainly is the Crewe to Euston service, which is London North Western. It's a horrible, horrible service to be on when it's a 4-car train. I think these days it's 8-car more than 4-car, but I mean, I got on the train at Crewe and my destination was Watford, and I sat in the same seat for 3 hours, and I had to ask 7 or 8 people to move so I could get to the door when we got to Watford, because it was just rammed full of people. It must be deeply, deeply unpleasant to have to ride that train every single day. And it is technically, in many ways, it is a commuter train. It's not like a London Overground type commuter train, but it is, you know, people are commuting from places like Manchester down through Crewe onto London. Personally, I wish I'd just hopped on a Virgin train instead, but you know, save money and all that. This was years ago, by the way. This is about, what, 5-6 years ago now. Very long time. Shows how old I am. But yeah, I want to replicate some of the flaws in the British rail system, but at the same time I want to highlight the good things, because at the end of the day, this series is meant to be a celebration of UK and British rail, as well as international rail, taking the best from all around the world basically and putting it all in one place. But every now and then you do have to kind of expose the flaws a little bit and say this isn't good, and we might have one service here or there where it's not got the right rolling stock, or the train is way too short for the number of people that are actually wanting to use it. Just to throw in those little curveballs and make it a bit more realistic and a bit more fun, because at the end of the day, that is the challenge. And as we progress through the time periods towards present day and even into the future, we will aim to fix some of those issues. And I mean, a lot of this series has been fixing mistakes that were made during the McJeffries network, and I will continue to do that because there's so many more sections that need rebuilding. The Grand Northern route from Beffingway all the way up to Gronwell, there's a lot of bits there that need rebuilding, plus the new lines down towards Nuthill from Beffingway, plus down towards Wantford and all those kinds of things. There's a lot that needs doing. But yeah, I'm going to start wrapping up now because I've got basically just less than a minute to do my outro, and I tend to muck it up normally, and even now I'm wasting time, so I'm just going to get on with it. Thank you very much guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, drop some comments down below with ideas for future episode, or head over to my Discord or my Reddit. You can post items such as images or videos on Discord, and if the file size is too big for whatever reason, feel free to post it on my Reddit. But do keep it clean please, nothing X-rated or anything like that. I trust you guys. We're all adults here at the end of the day. We all know how to behave responsibly. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support. I have 14 seconds left to kill, so let's quickly round up as well and just say thank you everyone who has subscribed and supported the channel over the last however long. It's very much appreciated. But thanks for watching guys, and until next time, I will see you soon.